早くジローのちょうだい。
精霊たちよ、静まれたまえ。ほら。
はあ。
This might sound weird, but we got very little Akari this episode, and trust me, I completely understand. We got her and her spider incident and her seeking out Jirou and basically establishing kind of a sense of, what's a good word for it? A sense of safety, right? She basically let Jirou know this episode of like, you know, I can always count on you. And they keep dancing around the fact that they may or may not be still, you know, together in the future, you know, especially with them getting 13th place, basically inching ever closer to that, you know, 10th place, top 10, to be able to have the anonymity, to be able to kind of like switch groups, switch partners, etc. So they're inching closer and closer to that. And I think before we get to the end of the season, I think they're going to get to that point and decide not to change partners. And I think that's probably where the anime first season will probably end up ending. Overall, though, you know, I think this was really good, you know, but definitely we didn't get enough Akari. And I think that when the anime... I think when this anime strays away too far from Akari, I think it loses kind of some of its luster. Now, I completely understand what they're trying to do, right? They're trying to establish this magnetic field between Shiori, between Jirou, and between Akari. And obviously we have Minami in there too. And they're, you know, the thing with Minami that they did this episode, and they did it very craftfully, and they did it very carefully, is Minami basically said, hey, I've effed up before, and I haven't been outspoken to somebody who I should have been, and I kind of let them pass me by. Now, we don't know if he's speaking about Akari. We don't know if he's speaking about Shiori. We don't know if he's speaking about some other girl that, you know, he truly let get out of his arms or something. You know, he has a lot of animosity towards his brother. So I'm assuming, you know, kind of, if I'm going to put my anime thinking cap on, I'm going to assume that his brother's probably dating the girl that he loves or loved or something like that. You know, I'm assuming that's why he has a lot of animosity or hatred towards his brother, because the moment that Minami's brother's mentioned, he gets all like, my brother, you know. So I'm assuming that, you know, maybe the girl he loved at some point, you know, chose his brother instead or something of that nature, because that's what happens. Anime does shit like that. Regardless, though, I don't really care about Minami too much. But, you know, this episode, again, like I said, going back to what I started saying, is trying to establish that Shiori dominance here and the magnetic pull that she has on Jirou. The other thing that is interesting here is we have Mai, who damn, you're gonna hate me, bro. He comments all the time, but one of the viewers on the channel, and you know who you are, you know, one love, dude. 3-4 weeks ago, he called out like, hey, I think there's like a Yuri love going on here between Mai or May, however you want to say it, May and Shiori, and I was like, damn, I can see that. And it has escalated week over week over week to the point to where like Mai, again, Mai, whatever the hell, she's getting like juices are flowing, you know, when she thinks of Shiori. But her battle is Shiori is in love with Jirou, and seemingly has always been, which is a rough thing to kind of culminate. So I think at some point this Mai girl is going to also hit her breaking point, and I think that she's inching ever closer every episode to just be like, I love you, Shiori, and not like a friend kind of thing. Now the obvious thing is Shiori is innocent, and she truly just doesn't see Mai that way. You can just tell that there's no reciprocated feelings you know, towards her. And I think she has a good understanding that, you know, Mai is popular with girls, and she's fully supportive of her friend in that way. But she just doesn't see that Mai is seeing her that way, even though she's flirting hardcore with her, like when the scene where she's like, oh, wear whatever you want, baby girl, kind of thing. I think she just finds it funny. She thinks like, oh, she's just being playful. That's just her. She's just being that way. And probably, you know, at the root of it, it probably really is. That's just who she is, especially with Shiori. So I think at some point, you know, she will reach her breaking point as well, and I think we'll get that before the end of the season. I just think that she'll be heavily let down, and I think she knows that she's gonna be heavily let down already, because even if the Shiori Jirou stuff doesn't happen, and again, we're all pulling for Akari here, I think, but even if the Shiori Jirou stuff doesn't happen, I think that there still isn't any kind of romantic feelings from Shiori to Mai as there is from Mai to Shiori. So I think we're gonna reach that point as well. But definitely, you know, I'm less engaged when there is a lot less Akari. You know, the spider stuff, fully engaged when we transition from that. I understand what they're doing. I get what they're setting up. I understand they're setting the scene. They're setting the episode, the tone, and the tempo for going forward. I completely understand what they're doing. But the reality is I can't be more engaged to something that I'm not enjoying. And it's so harsh. I did not enjoy it. It's just that when Akari is off screen, when the Akari Jirou love magneticness is off screen, it's just not as engaging. It's more of a 7 out of 10 than like an 8.5 out of 10 as it usually is. And I hope that makes sense, because I don't want to be like, oh, I hate this part of the edit, because it's not true. It's just not as enjoyable. So those are kind of my thoughts this week. Overall, a good episode. I do think, you know, Jirou is going to need to make up his mind on what the hell he wants to do here. I think Akari is getting more and more confident each week. She is still dropping hints, but the hints are getting less subtle. This week she was like, yo, let's just fucking date, dude. Let's just date. And she's like, just kidding. You know, but she's kind of she's giving him that 3 Mississippis to be like, okay, you know, and I think that they need to be pushed to that breaking point because they're seemingly perfect for each other. They have a level of comfortability with each other that they don't have with any other person. And for Jirou, that includes Shiori. For Akari, that includes Manami and anybody else, you know. So I think they're seemingly perfect. They complete each other, and it would be tragic not to see that. And I would love to get a Horimiya moment before the season ends of just them actually dating for an episode or two, you know, just to fully realize that they're perfect for each other. I would love to be completed in that way as a viewer. I know I'm not going to be, but I would love a Horimiya moment here. All right. I'll leave you guys some those thoughts. Let me know what you guys thought. Let me know if I'm being too harsh with the Akari off-screen stuff. Let me know if you're a Shiori stan. If that's the case, no hate. You know, I completely get it. We all have different tastes. And if that is the case, let me know what you think is going to happen next. All right, my friends. See you guys next week. Peace.